Okay. And I've got another bit on that. I will log in with my phone too. Oh, fantastic. That's fine, Sabine. Well done. Okay. So, I mean, this is all recorded now. I've pressed the record button. So, good evening, everyone. Oh, Sabine, I've never seen you with your glasses on. You're looking like a professor tonight. That's fine. You can leave them on. I'm okay without mine because I can see. Right. So, it's about the core skills tonight. And tonight we're going to be talking about the numeracy skills, so the core skills that our children need to develop or to improve on to be able to access the maths type questions. And there are 3 of them. The first is just the basic arithmetic skills. The second one is the timetable skills. And the third one is the problem solving skills. And what I have noticed is a lot of our children either struggle with some of the arithmetic skills, and a lot of them struggle with the problem solving skills. But once we identify what we need to do, then we transfer that to the kids, we would be fine. So I'm going to go back and share the screen again. So just bear with me for a second. There we go. Share the screen. And yes, there we go. So tonight we're talking about core skills. It's the first part of the core skills. The plan is for us to go through the core skills in 2 sessions. But honestly, if we don't get through them in 2 sessions, then we'll just do some of it in the 3rd session, because tonight I really want to look at some questions, some specific questions. So I'm planning to get through this, and then we'd have about 15 or 20 minutes to actually walk through the questions. So moving on to the next slide. So what are core skills? So core skills in general, whether it's the numeracy ones or the literacy ones, are the basic skills that our children would need to develop to ensure that they excel in their academics. So it's not just about the 11+ exams or the selective school exams or the common entrance exams. It's about equipping them with these skills so that they can excel in their academics. Yeah, so it's not just the numeracy, the literacy and the numeracy core skills are the basic skills your child would need to develop so that they can excel in their academics. And now going a bit more specific, they need to be able to have these skills so that they can gain high skills in numeracy. So to gain high scores in numeracy, your child would need to be competent in these core skills. And what I mean by being competent is being able to use these skills, whether it's direct or whether it's actually been disguised, or whether there's a discrete way of which this has been displayed. So they should be able to be competent in these core skills. And that's one of the purposes of us being here tonight. So next slide. Good. The numeracy core skills, like I said earlier on, are 3. I put them in 3 different groups. So you've got the basic arithmetic, you've got the times table, and we've also got the problem solving. Right. So now we're going to, first of all, look at the basic arithmetic skills. And there are 4 of them. You know, there's the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, and the division skills. On the role of these individual skill areas or individual mathematical operations, like we call them, there are quite a number of things that our children should be able to do. And what I have done is I've actually put down a number of what they need to be able to recall and what they also need, or how they can actually do this mentally. So for our children to do well in these exams, they need to develop some mental strategies that would help them in the area of their addition, their subtraction, their multiplication, and their division. Multiplication is different from times table. I know that a lot of people would confuse that. You need your times table to be able to multiply. So your times table are just up to the 12 times 12. So 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5, up to 12. But then multiplication is now applying your times table skills to doing sums with short multiplication, say for example 23 times by 6, or long multiplication where you've got 23 times by 46, or 223 times by 226. So that's now applying the long multiplication skills. Right, so that's the 4 different areas or the mathematical operations under the basic arithmetic skills. So now what I did say was I am going to go through some of the rapid recall that our children need to be able to perform whilst preparing for these exams. These are the major ones. I have actually condensed this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different areas. And under each of these, I would actually just be expanding as I go on. So the first rapid recall is for them to know all the number facts. And what I mean by that is we have addition number facts, we've got subtraction number facts, we've got multiplication and division. So an example of a number fact would be knowing the number bonds 1 to 20. So say for example, your child should be able to recall 17 add 3 would give you 20. So they should be able to recall those number facts just like that. Or 20, you take away 17, ends up with 3. So the number 20, 17 and 3, there are facts that they should be able to recall. And that applies to numbers up to 10, numbers up to 20, numbers up to 50, numbers up to 100, numbers up to 1,000. You know, so they should be able to recall those facts. And if they can recall the number facts up to 10, then that can be applied up to 100. That could be applied up to 1,000 by just adding more zeros or just putting in more zeros. So they should be able to know all the number facts. The second is know pairs of numbers that total up to 100, which is similar. So they should be able to say 10 and 90 is 100, 60 and 40 is 100. They should be able, and of course, not just in the multiples of 10, they should be able to extend it to all the other different numbers. So 92, 98 and 2 is 100. You know, they should be able to. 52 and, 48 is 100. They should be able to know pairs of numbers that will total 100. So we need to test them on this, and they should be able to recall this rapidly. How can we do this? It could actually be done as a game. So you and your child could actually come up with number cards. You know, I love using those index cards or the flash cards. They've actually got them in Amazon. They're called index cards. And we use that a lot at home. So they could come up with 52 and 48, 98 and 2, 13 and 83, 93, 83. So they should be able to recall those number facts up to 100. Same as well, they should be able to know or recall pairs of multiples of 50 that total to 100. They should be able to know pairs of fraction that equal to 1. So half and half is 1, 3/4 and a quarter is 1. They should be able to recall those rapidly. Okay? Quick and accurate recall of number facts, which is similar to what we've done. So it has to be, first of all, we'd actually start by knowing them. Then they have to be quick and accurate. And this comes with practice. Okay? Like I said, please note down your questions. As we go, we would, at the end, we would answer those questions as we get to the end. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay. Sorry, what happened there? Oh, no. Back. Okay, good. So, also, they should be able to know all their multiplication facts up to their 12 times 12 times table. Oh, hi, Ronke. Great to have you on here. I'm just going to mute you, my dear. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. So, yes, so they should be able to be able to know all the multiplication facts as well up to 12 times 12, and the same as well for their division facts. So, say, for example, they should be able to say 6 times 7 is 42. And then 42 divided by, oh, hi, Sonia. What's happened to
Hi.
Sonia? Where's she gone? Oh, gosh. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure she would join us. She would rejoin. Right.
I'm still here, Shola. Maybe
Oh,
I've gone on to the second page.
oh, okay.
Yes. I was these index cards. Maybe I can find them and quickly drop a link for the others. If you'd let me know what that was.
Oh, what an index card is. They are like the
I
small,
mean, are they special ones? Or is it the blank ones? You make them up
the
yourself?
blank ones you make up yourself, because then you can
Oh, okay.
actually play around with them and you could get them
Mm-hmm.
involved as well. No, I'm not getting, no. Just the blank ones that you could play
Okay.
games with. Does that make sense?
Right,
Yeah?
okay, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, Sabine, you're super efficient. Gosh, you've gone on to start searching.
Yeah.
It's just a play
And I'm
one.
wearing my super duper glasses today, you know?
Oh, yeah, you're looking like a professor, actually, I must say. So what you need is just a plain flashcards, index cards that you could play around with. And that was with regards to the number pairs that total up to 100. So I gave a few examples there. 98 and 2 is 100. So let them, because they need to be able to recall this, and extending this to the thousands as well. Because of course, once they know the tens, they can extend that to the hundreds and then move that onto the thousands. They need to be able to recall this really quickly. Okay, so quick and accurate recall of the number facts, that's important. Know all the multiplication facts up to 12 times 12, and I was giving an example there, as well as their division. The good thing is addition and subtraction are, I call them husband and wife. That's what I say to my kids when I'm teaching them, you know, so they go hand in hand. One is the opposite of the other, in as much as a man and a woman are opposite to one another, you know. So the addition and the subtraction, actually, they go hand in hand. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. So when they're learning the number facts up to 20 or up to 100, so if you'd go 98 add 2 is 100, so therefore 100 take away 2 would end up with 98. So they need to be able to play around with these numbers, which is why I suggested we could actually get this index cards and just play around with them, get them to come up with all the number facts. And I'm sure for a lot of them, they would be very adventurous. They would actually go on and go up to the thousands, go up to 10,000, but let them, they need to be able to recall this rapidly and quickly, okay? And also their division facts as well, up to 12 times 12. So 12 times 12 is 144. 144 divided by 12 would be 12, you know. So it's just getting them to know all of these facts really quickly, okay? I always like to change these things or turn them into games, especially for our boys, because a lot of them are very physical, and that's the best way to get them. Remember, we talked about learning styles last week. So if you get them in and get them to start playing around with these things, even you give them a pile of index cards and just tell them to write them out, and then you test them in the car whilst you're driving into school. Just test them or get them to look at them and then look at the back, so they can use both the front and the back, a division fact, a multiplication fact, an addition fact, a subtraction fact, with exactly the same numbers. So play around with these things, and I'll be honest with you, if you consistently do that over the next coming weeks, you will be surprised at how much their brains would retain, because it's something that tickles their fancy. It's something that they enjoy. They're in competition, you know. With boys, I know there's a lot of testosterone, there's a lot of competition. They would enjoy that. I find out that my boys that I teach would always engage when it comes as a form of competition or it comes in form of a game. For the girls, you know, whatever your child gravitates towards, please use it to the best, you know, of your, or maximize, you know, what they love doing. So that's to do with the rapid recalls. If they can rapidly recall all of this, honestly, we're definitely walking our way into success, because then it's mental, it's there, they can recall it when they need it, okay? And they can apply it to when we talk about the problem solving and when we get there. So moving on. So mental strategies that they could use to solve this number questions, numeric questions, this addition, this subtraction, this multiplication, this division are the three main types, and I'll explain the three in a minute, and I'll use examples. The first one is partitioning. So say, for example, your child is been given a sum of 42 times 6, that's a short multiplication type of question. What you could do is encourage your child to partition the 42 into the tens and the units, so their knowledge of place value, and that can be applied to the hundreds as well. So if it's 126 times by 6, so they can partition that mentally, 100 times 6, 20 times 6, and 6 times 6, although that's a bit of a longer one, but for the 2 digits by 1 digit, they can partition into the place value, and they can actually work that out mentally, so that's to partition. That's a very good way to help them to mentally work out questions. For most of the questions or most of the exams, they would have the opportunity to quickly work this out, but once they're used to mentally doing this, it's easier for them to replicate that on paper quickly. So for the quick sums or the easier sums, 22 times 4, they can just do that 20 times 4, 2 times 4, and then add that together really quickly. So let's get them into the habit of mentally trying to work these questions out. The reason why I'd always encourage these mental strategies is so that their brains are working. It's actually engaging their brains, and that's what we need. We need to engage their brains. I always encourage that when your brain is being engaged, the nerves are being stretched, and it actually helps them to be a lot more alert, the concentration. So partitioning is one of the ways by which they could mentally do these sums. The other one is rounding. So they could round to the nearest 10. So of course, one of the areas or one of the objectives for year 4 or year 3 or year 5 is for them to be able to round numbers to tens, nearest 10, round numbers to the nearest 100, and of course we'd extend it to rounding it to the nearest 1,000, because what we should be aiming for is to get them comfortably into the year 5's objectives during the summer. So going through the year 3s, going through the year 4s, going through the year 5. So our year 4s at the moment, during the 6 weeks holiday, we need to kind of get them into the year 5. So extending the rounding to the thousands, and if we can go on to the 10,000s, that's fine. The year 3s, rounding it to the hundreds, So rounding can also help them. And then once they've rounded, they can then make adjustments, which of course is the last one. So they round and then they can adjust their answers back to what is required. So these are some of the mental strategies that can help them to really work out sums quickly. But I'd also encourage, once we're getting close to the exams, they can use those mental strategies and display that on paper as well. I like the partition method, because it's quick, especially with the short multiplication type of questions, and even some of the division type of questions as well. So those are the 3 main mental strategies that they could use to help them mentally work out questions. Okay, so now moving on. So some of the mental methods, so those are the 3 main strategies. So I've gone on to also display the mental methods. I'll go through the addition and subtraction, like I said earlier on, their husband and wife, opposites. So the first is they should be able to count on in equal steps from positive or negative numbers. So your child should be able to count on, probably in their 2s, they should be able to count negative numbers, -3, -1, 0. So they should be able to count on or count back in equal steps from positive to negative, or positive or negative numbers. Okay? They should be able to count on in equal steps related to money and length. I know we talked about measurement. So they should be able to see patterns. So an example there is, if they're looking at £1.37, then of course they're going up, that's going in 10. So £1.47, that's gone up 10p. £1.57, that's gone up in 10p. So they should be able to count in equal steps, you know, in things that are related to money. Practice is what gets us there. And funny enough, I'm actually reading a book at the moment, which is called Mindsets by Carol Dweck. And there was something I read today, which actually, you know, really got me thinking. And it says, there's no way you could get to perfection. You know, practice makes perfect. It's not right. It means you'd always have to improve and continue to want to learn more. You know, so I thought to myself, I'm not going to use that phrase anymore. Practice makes perfect. No, we have to keep practicing and we'll continue to get better, you know. So it was actually looking at the differences between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And it's amazing, some of the things I'm finding out about myself, but I'm changing, you know. We're all work in progress, you know. So yes, so I would encourage them to continue to practice. And some of these things we can actually turn into games, you know. I mean, that's what I love about this, especially with maths, you know. You could actually get them £1.37, go up in tens, £1.48, £1.57, go up in tens, go up in 20s, you know. So gradually you can get them thinking. So that's counting up in equal steps related to money as well as length. So 100 centimeters, 200 centimeters, 300 centimeters, or 120 centimeters, 130 centimeters, you know. So going up in the hundreds, going up in the tens, 120, 121, going up in ones, you know. So being able to count on or count back as well, you know, in equal steps in relation to money and length, or the heaviness of stuff, the weights, you know, and so on and so forth. Being able to add and subtract numbers using partitioning, rounding and adjusting, which is what I've just explained earlier on. Being able to add or subtract, okay? And the last one is only applicable to when they're doing subtraction or taking away. It's find the difference by counting on when the numbers are close. And I've given you some examples. So 93 take away 87. So they count on from 86 to 93, because of finding the difference, taking away. When the numbers are close, they should be able to count. If it's taken away, they should be able to count from the smaller number to the bigger number. Okay. And it's actually amazing that some children that I teach don't know that until that's been shown to them, and they go, oh wow, miss, that's easy, you know. So it's just showing them that for them to take away, when the numbers are close to each other, just count up from the smaller number to the bigger number. And then the kids will say to me, I remember they'd say to me, but we're not adding, miss. And I said, well, subtraction and addition are boyfriends and girlfriends, so you could actually interuse or interchange them. So these are some of the mental methods that you could use to help them become mentally alert with their maths, adding and taking away. Okay, so moving on now to the next. Oops. Okay, good. What's happening? Okay, yes. Yeah, so for multiplication now, we need to be able to get them to count on from 0 in steps of, you know, 2s, 3s. They should be able to do that mentally. How we're going to do this is also in stages as well. I'm sure for most of us, 2s would be okay, because of course that's the even numbers. 3s, what I tend to get my children to do most of the time is I just get them to 3, get 3 fingers up sometimes, or hide it behind their back, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until they actually get to know. So if we're doing too much too soon, then they might struggle. But if we take on one of them, and remember I said this is a boot camp, so we're going to have to work. If it's a week and you'd say to them, we're going to be counting in threes. So everything we do is going to be in threes. Everything we do is going to be in fours. And I am going to tie this up with our times table skills as well. What I always encourage is for the fours, so all they need to learn is their twos and their threes, honestly. That's what they need to know. That's what they need to know. With their fours, they double their twos. Okay, so 4 times 2 is double 2 times 2. The 8 times table, they double their fours. The 6 times table, they double their threes, you know. So that's one of the strategies. The other tricky one is the 7s. So they need to learn the 7s, you know. So count on in 7s, and then being able to count on in halves, quarters, 1/5. So double half is a quarter, double a fifth is a tenth. So just getting them to obviously mentally know that. Count on in different steps, you know. Multiply by 8, which is double, double, and double again, or just double their fours. Okay, doubling 2-digit numbers by partitioning. So if you've got a 2-digit number, say for example 48, so they can double 40, they can double 8, and then they can add that together. Doubling multiples of 10 as well, you know. So these are some of the mental methods that they can actually start learning or picking up to be able to do these sums. And then using their knowledge of place value, which is of course the value of numbers, to multiply. So say for example, if you've got them to do 40 times by 5, if they know 4 times 5, then they can do 40 times by 5. If they know 40 times by 5, they can do 400 times by 5. I mean, the shock on the faces of some of my children when I actually teach them this, they're like, oh wow, miss, that easy, you know. So all they need to know is it goes up in multiples of 10 each time. You know, sometimes you say just put a 0 at the end. You know, 4 times 5, once you know that, you can actually work out 40 times 5. You can work out 400 times 5. You know, so just getting them to see. And once they see it, honestly, you'll be surprised at the way they would actually start seeing patterns. Okay, so that's to do with mental methods with multiplication. And the last but not the least, so now why does this keep coming up? On division. Okay, similar to all of those, but of course it's counting back rather than counting on. So when you have a number, okay, having multiples of 10, then 2-digit numbers by partitioning, or having multiples of 10, then 2-digit numbers by partitioning. So I have put some examples there because I thought I have to make sure we understand this, because if we understand this, then we can then easily transfer this to the kids. So an example is 42 divided by 2. So we could partition that to 40 divided by 2 and then 2 divided by 2, and we just quickly add that together. That's easy, isn't it? That is easy. You know, practice and practice and practice will get us there. Okay, the next one is use place value to divide. Okay, also using place value to divide. I wonder where Halimat is. What's happening? Where is she? She's just disappeared. Okay, anyway, I hope she's okay. So and I've given an example there as well. 20 divided by 5, then you can find 200 divided by 5. Okay, you could also do 450 divided by 9 by doing 45 divided by 9, and then you could do 450 divided by 9. Okay, I can hear some yeah. So moving on. Yes, this is the area. Before I actually go on to problem solving skills, I'd like to give us the opportunity to answer or to ask any questions, although I know that there are questions at the end, or there might be opportunities, but I just would like to give us the opportunity to ask any questions with regards to the rapid recalls, the mental strategies, the basic arithmetic skills, before I move on to the problem solving skills. Are there any questions?
Yes. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered whether there was a strategy to, I mean, there's so many different skill levels, it looks like. And is it like best just to do the counting in, you know, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5 in week 1, and then, you know, like, or months 1, and then months 2 is only doing the divisions? Because I guess you don't want to sort of overwhelm them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's different. I guess there's different ones, unless you do make them do different tests where there's a mix of skills in there, isn't it? But I know my son, he really, really needs this whole multiplication, and he's so super stuck on the division, of course, because he hasn't got the foundations. So I'm wondering what's the best strategy, and for him it's definitely more being playful, and he finds it quite tedious, let's say, the whole multiplications.
Yeah. What I would suggest would be, and I'd always say this, walking at his pace. What I am sharing are just so you'd have this information. I'm not expecting, oh gosh, that would be really scary. I'm not expecting you to, over the course of this week, use all of these strategies. It's when they actually go through their bond books, when they're doing their workbooks, these are what they could use. So these are like tools that they could use to help them when they're doing those sums to be quicker. So with the multiplication, if that's what we need to work on at this point in time, then we need to start doing that now using the different strategies. So it could be a case of just getting him to use those flashcards or index cards to write this out, so he has them readily available. I used to put them in the car for my son. I remember there was a CD as well. I can't remember the name of the CD, which used to chant multiplication tables then, that we used to put in the car. This was, I mean, a while back. So we had it. It was surrounding. He had it surrounded him everywhere we were, just to help build up on the multiplication skills, because he needs those skills to be able to mentally, because of course if he's doing 20 times by 4, he needs to be able to know what 4 times 2 is, say, for example. So all of the mental strategies that I have shared is for them to use, not just now, but all throughout the preparation time. Does that answer the question, Sabine? Or it doesn't?
Yeah. So it's basically what you're sharing are almost like the background strategies.
They are. Say that again.
They're almost like the background strategies, or the backbone to everything. Yes.
So what he needs at the moment is to become really quick with the times table. So that's what we really need to work on now, because if we don't have that in place, then we won't be able to do the bonds. Where is Sabine gone?
Yeah.
Oh, where are
I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Maybe on another page.
Oh, another page.
I have to have. Yeah, I'm on my phone as well. So.
Oh, okay. I get it. That makes sense. Oh, okay. I can only see 3 faces. That's why
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So does that answer the question, Sabine?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Because what I think we need to work on is we need to work on strategies to actually help him pick up those skills really quickly. The times table skills are the bedrock. If I can, he needs those. That's kind of what we need. That's part of what we really need now. So I would send you. I've actually got a link to something that can actually help with the times tables, rather than the book, because if he is somebody who actually learns by hearing, Sabine, we need that CD. So I'm going to go and look for where I got that CD from, and I can send that through to you. So
I think for him, I think it's more like interactive things online where he can log in and do some games. Most definitely. I mean, I've got a few apps, but then he kind of stopped using the apps because it works on the basis like you got to be even faster on the times tables than last time, and then he couldn't beat himself.
Oh no, I'm talking about what
record anymore.
I'm actually talking about what he can listen to, not even doing the tests, because of course he needs to, he needs to.
Yeah.
So something
that may be good. I'm giving them meditation every night nowadays.
Oh, you are?
So they could have timetable meditation.
Yeah, so we could put the times table in, so you can go into the subconscious mind.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, we had a CD. I can't remember what it's called, but there was a CD that I used to put in the car. That was for my child number 2 then. So of course we had the flashcards, and then we'd had the CD, and it goes 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times, so it just at least.
Yeah.
So maybe
instead of counting sheeps, we will have multiplications, counting in 2s, counting in 3s.
Yeah.
They'll have these meditations to just go to sleep.
Yeah,
that would be a good idea. Maybe I'll look whether they do something.
Maybe I should even think of recording one myself.
Yeah, you could. This is a new market. Seriously, you could be a hypnotist.
I'll stay in my element. I'll think about it, actually. I've got a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Fixed in my mindset. I'll think about it. Right. Okay.
Well, you're talking to the right person. It's noted.
Oh, boy.
By the way, so
God.
I just have one more question. Is there a test that he should be doing, say, to know where his weaknesses are in terms of the times table? Is there a set speed that you would need to do?
Yes, I really don't want to put him on any speed that will put him off at the moment. Let's just walk through. Yeah, because of course, sometimes that's what puts them off, because they know that they can't beat the time, and then they just give up completely. So right now, I'm just going to not want to put them on any racing times table games or times table activity, but just making sure that he gets through in his time, rather than, well, I don't mean spending 20, 30 minutes, but
okay, that was my question. What is not giving him a deadline, say, but say time that I know where he is.
Maybe getting him to do about the 7s or the 8s, and just get him to write the answers out in that's 12 of them in about 10 minutes. So
okay, because they do get the grids,
yeah,
where they have to time themselves. Can you see this?
Pardon?
Yeah, can you see my video?
I can't see you, darling.
Okay, I need to get back on the phone. Okay, can you see? You probably have 2 videos now.
I can see you now, Sabine.
It's this one.
I can't see you now because you've actually come.
Because I got.
Come on, Sabine. Have you gone? Are you frozen now? Oh. I think Sabine's gone. She's frozen. Sabine, are you back? Yeah.
I am here.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's these types of.
Oh yeah, that's a multiplication square. Yeah.
So I think he did 11 minutes.
Okay. And that's what times table are those? Is that up to 12?
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
12 by 12, that is.
Oh, okay. So he needs a lot of those, Sabine. He needs a lot of those. And then once...
I don't know, is it good or bad, 11 minutes?
It doesn't... That's the thing. Right now, I don't want you to... I really don't want you to stress over the amount of time. The first skill area with the 11 plus exams, number one, is having the information, you know, the subject knowledge, the direct stuff. That's the first thing. Before we even start worrying about time, we still need to look at accuracy. So it's knowing the stuff, being accurate, and then the last thing is now the timing. For those in year 5 that I have at the moment, I haven't even been doing time tests with them yet. I'm not going to start doing that until July. What I am interested in at this point in time is they know the stuff, so the subject knowledge is intact. They're accurate when they're doing the questions. And of course, the time would now be the last stage. Well, not the last, but of course, we've got till September, and they're there with me during the month of August, during summer school. That's when we'd now work on exam techniques and their timing. So I don't want you to worry, and that applies to everybody else as well, worry too much about the time. What I really want us to be focused on now is knowing the stuff, being able to understand these concepts, being able to mentally recall, being able to be rapid, quick about them, knowing what they're doing. And then once they know what they're doing, they're accurate, you know, they're working, they're doing the addition, they're checking by doing the inverse, which is the opposite. They're doing their sums, they're accurate with their answers. Then we can then start talking about timing. Does that make sense? Hello?
Yes, that makes sense.
Good.
I think, I don't know who, someone just posted in the WhatsApp group some multiplication tables.
Oh, okay. Oh, fantastic.
So I'm not sure if that material that we could use.
Okay, thank you. Let me have a look at it. Oh gosh, I so love you guys, honestly. Love is sharing. Everybody's sharing and caring. Oh yes, I know this. Absolutely. This is actually one of the that we get, the revision aids that we give to them at the last minute, isn't it, Ronke? Where you've got all of, so this is actually one of the revision aids. So yes, you can use that. This has actually got, you're a superstar actually. You know, I mean, although I don't really give this out until, you know, towards the last, but there's absolutely no problem in giving this out. So yes, Sabine, but remember, this is a revision aid. They need to know the stuff first before they revise. Yeah? Yes, Sabine? Yes.
Sorry, I have to be on mute because these kids are still running around me at the moment.
Okay. Tell them I love them as well. Yeah. So
yes.
Okay. So and that applies to everybody else as well. I love all the kids. Gosh, I wish I had space, you know. I definitely would be having a boarding school at some point. God give me strength, you know, where we could actually have all of them in during the summer, and we can sort ourselves out. But I need the space. So anybody who has space, please bear me in mind. It's a dream on my vision board. We'll get there one day. Okay. Are there any more questions? Sonia, how are you? Ronke, any questions? Yes, no? Yes, no?
No, for now, no.
Okay. Sonia, any questions? Yes, no? Yeah, okay, cool. I might as well just move on. Yeah, Talimat, any questions? Yes or no? No? Good. Okay, right. So we've looked at, and I'm happy that we've actually picked up on times table, because I wasn't going to spend time on that because we've covered it when we talked about the basic arithmetic skills, which are the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And of course, the differences between multiplication and times table. We need those times table skills. They're the bedrock. You know, we really need to make sure that we fine tune that using all the different strategies that we've spoken about. And now we're going to be looking at problem solving skills. This is a skill area that a lot of children, and when I say a lot of children, I don't really want to just give any generic percentage, but for most of the children that I have, they struggle with problem solving. And why? It's mainly because they have a little bit of a problem with comprehending or understanding the worded problems. But honestly, tonight, we would be able to sort this out and as we go on. So most maths questions in the 11+ exams require the ability to problem solve. Most of them, even with the reasoning as well, even with the verbal and the non-verbal reasoning questions, they need to be able to problem solve. Questions are written in a worded form, and your child would need to be able to interpret the problem, which is number one, before applying the appropriate mathematical skills. So that's the first thing. They should be able to, you know, understand, interpret, and then apply one of those four, or sometimes two of those, depends if it's a one-step or a two-step problem, or a three-step for some of them, you know. So there are two stages. That's actually, let's see what's in the chat box. There's a question, bear with me. There's something in the chat box. Have questions, please, regarding times table. Okay. Halima, just hold on to that. Oh, okay, that's privately. We can actually talk about that at the end. So we'll do that at the end with the times table skills. Yeah. So we'll do that at the end. Yeah. Right. Questions are written in worded form, and your child will need to be able to interpret the problem before applying the appropriate mathematical skill. And this is how I teach problem solving skills. Honestly, once your child gets an understanding of these two stages, then they become a superstar with problem solving. And we're going to do this gradually. So an example, I was actually going to read out a few problems, but I can't find my problem solving book at the moment because I'm actually in my daughter's room. I'm camping in her room for now. So there are two stages to solving word problem questions. The first is encourage your child to look for the information that has been given in the question. And what I always tell them to do is I tell them to highlight the information with a highlighter or with a red pen or with a pen. So say, for example, I have 6 apples. Or I buy 6 apples at 36p. So that's the information that has been given. I buy 6 apples at 36p. So underline 6, underline 36p. That's the information that has been given. How much does each apple cost? That's the question. That's what they've been asked to do. So there are two parts to a problem question. There are always two parts. There are two stages to solving them. The first is to identify the information that has been given in the question. The second thing is to find out what the question is asking you to do with that information. And I'll use the example I used again. I buy 6 apples at 36p. I buy 6 apples at 36p. What is the cost of 1 apple? So I buy 6 apples at 36p is the information that has been given. What is the cost of 1 apple, or what's the cost of each apple, is the question. Does that make sense? That's an easy problem, but in all of the problems, if it's a 2-step, a 3-step, a 4-step problem, what you need to encourage your child to do, first of all, is you need to encourage your child to, first of all, look for the information that has been given in the question. The second thing you need to do is you need to then encourage your child to use that information to now answer the question. So split the question into 2, information given, what to do. So once they can do that and they can see that clearly, problem solving becomes a doodle. It does not become, it won't be a big deal to them anymore. I hope that makes some sense. Does that make sense? I knew there was going to be some questions with this. That's why I thought, you know what, let's just do the questions for the first bit, and then we can then do the questions with regard to problem solving. So 2 stages. Number 1, information that has been given. Number 2, what the question is asking us to do. And I know that we've all got a copy of the book, and on pages 46, or between the pages of 46 and 55, I think, actually on 54 and 55, I think I did write a little bit about this, where I'd said, this is why it is essential to help them develop the skill. I usually teach this problem in 2 stages. So we can start with the single step problems. I make them understand, going back to the comprehension. So they obviously need to be able to comprehend, understand, find out the information that has been given in the question, and then being able to differentiate between the information and as well as what the question is asking us to do. So, and then going on to find out what the question is asking us to do. So such questions could be 1 step, 2 steps, or it could even be a 3-step problem, and your child will be required to break the question into the number of steps, then apply the mathematical operation. So with the example I gave, I buy 6 apples at 36p. What is the cost of 1 apple? That operation there would be a division. You're meant to divide because you're looking for less. You know that 6 is 36p, that's more. They're asking you for the cost of 1 apple, which is less. So to be able to do that, you need to make it smaller. That's division, you know. So that's why I said the basic arithmetic skills need to be up to par, they need to be sound before we can actually engage in problem solving skills, which is why I've actually dealt with it after going through the basic arithmetic skills. Okay, so I think the next slide just goes on and talks about okay, let me just okay, so I just identified some resources, which is what I've shared with us. My book, which we all have a copy of, are the relevant pages, and all of these skills can be applied. Well, you can actually get quite a lot of this from the bond assessment paper books, and I know that there were quite a number of questions with regards to those yesterday during the inside the group, these are for the maths are the red books. And I know that Sonia did share some of those within the WhatsApp group. So please start them off on the 8 to 9s. Please start them off on the 8 to 9s. Even for some of them, you could take them down to the 7 to 8. What I believe in is having a solid foundation. Confidence is key. We really want to make sure that they're confident. So if they're doing really well and they're getting most of the questions right, they will be confident and they would be motivated to actually try more, which was what I was talking about, Sabine, that right now I am not interested so much as to them getting it done, you know, quickly or in a particular time frame. What I'm really interested in, and I want us to kind of bear in mind, is for them to know it, and then we can then put on the timer once they know what they're doing, because the timer would put them off if they're still not sure. The timer might knock their confidence if they're still not sure. So what we need to do now is all this information applied to getting them to have or build on that subject knowledge, and then we can then start putting in the time. In fact, I'll be honest with you, let's lose the timer for now, for the timers for now, and let's just focus on them understanding, getting to knowing these things. Then we can then bring in the timer when we need to. Yeah, and as I said, I'm sure this would make you feel better. For my year 5s at the moment, we're not on the timer, maybe except for a couple of them who have actually, because I teach not as a group, I teach as individual. I believe in individuality, you know, or individualized plans. For some of them, maybe about 2 or 3 of them who are actually working on comprehension papers, I just put the timer on. But for most of them, about 85% were still walking through, getting the strategies intact, walking through corrections, finding out why we've got this wrong, looking at accuracy, being accurate, and not the timer yet, right? Okay, so now questions. Oh gosh, wow. I enjoy that actually. Question time now. So I mean, I know there was a question with regards to times table. So let's unmute. Okay, we can do the questions now.
No question, actually.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
I can clearly,
Okay.
loud and clear.
Okay. As regards to the times table, is it all right if they count, like, for instance, they're counting in twos, in threes, or in fours? Is it okay? Because with my first daughter, she can say 2 times, she can do it like mentally, 2 times days. But with the second one, she goes 3, 6, 9, you know. So it was, if you ask her to do the way the first one does it, she gets stuck.
Yes. Let me
So
hold it there. Let me
Yeah.
hold it there. Halimat,
Yeah.
I will encourage her to carry on doing that, but trying to get quicker, if that makes sense. So, of course, excuse me, if she wants to do 3 times 9, she would have to go in her threes, isn't it?
Yes.
That's fine for now, but we need to now start getting her to quickly. So it might be adding on a bit of the times table,
Yes,
maybe every day, so she can kind of recall them really quickly. Practice, practice, practice makes progress, not perfect. You know, I was actually thinking of what to use there.
Makes improvement.
It actually definitely causes them to improve. So before, you know, if it's something she does every day, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, she can do it into a song. You can, you know, or for some of them, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 7. So
yes, that's
first of all, get her to learn it, and then you then pick out, and then you would see that she would consciously start getting better, if that makes sense. So it has to be an activity by itself that you could do with her, you know, because she needs to be able to recall them quickly so that she can walk quickly through the test papers when it gets to the time. I know she's in year 3, isn't she?
Yes, year 3.
So honestly, let's try to get her, you know, to do more practice on the times table. Yeah,
thank you.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Right. Any more questions?
So, go ahead.
No, after you, Sabina.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify if I'm gonna go and buy the books. So it would be math, the red 8 to 9, bond books.
Bond assessment papers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's a 4. So math.
It's the red one is maths. Yes.
And what other one? English.
English. Yes. Let's do maths and English for now.
English. Maths
I
and
know
English.
there's the verbal reasoning and the non-verbal reasoning, but honestly, maths and English for now. Let's get him, you know, in maths and English. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So if I mean, did you see the pictures that Sonia shared?
Yes, so there were a number of books. That's why I got really confused.
Oh no, that was Halimat. Halimat shared.
Oh, okay.
She
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind.
That's another thing I was going to mention. Ladies, we're going to walk at our children's pace. What I don't want is, I mean, I go on and on about this. Every child is different. But what I know is every child has the ability to do exceptionally well. For Halimat's daughters, one can actually recall the times table that way. So there's no point, you know, doing the same exercise with her younger sister, who still needs a bit of work, but she will get there if we are consistent. So Sabine, don't worry. But what I would just suggest is walk at his pace. look for activities. If it's the times table, I mean, I have to go and look for, you know, or search for that CD. You can put that in. It's all part of learning. It's all part of learning, you know. I want you to take a deep breath
Yeah.
and just work on those gaps for now, times table, and see how we get on. And then he will be able to, you'll be surprised at the way he will be able to access some of these problems once those underlying things have been sorted out. But we'll still carry on. We'll still carry on with the times table, because that is something that we obviously have to constantly listen to, remember, you know, turn it into a game as well. You know, 6 times 7 is what? If you can answer 10 correctly.
I know. I think I need to do more around this. I need to be more creative. I'm going to order the index cards, because for him, like opening a book and sitting down and thinking he's got to go and do something in a book is very painful, if not punishment for him.
Why, honestly, I looked at the picture that Sonia sent and I thought it reminded me of my child number 1. But then when my child number 2, honestly, that's one of the reasons I do this now. During his time, I had to think of, which is where all of these thoughts and thinking coming out of the box, we had to do all sorts, you know. Even with reading as well, we had a contest where I would read a paragraph, he would explain what his understanding was. We'll do that when we're looking at the literacy core skills next week, and then would swap roles. So he'd have to listen. I would also have to pay attention. So I didn't have to do that for my child number 1. Hey, I didn't. So I had to think of creative ways to engage him. You know, if I didn't do that, honestly, I wouldn't be able to say all of forget about it, you know. But for him, my Fridays was gone. That was, my husband used to say Fridays is for the child. Yeah, for the whole year, it was me and him. Sometimes we actually had this in McDonald's, because we'd go in, we'd have a burger or some sort, and then we'd just get the books out. He's all excited. He wants to learn. Not every week, definitely not, you know. But I had to think of different strategies to also get to engage him in the learning, and he did really well, really well. Honestly, now he just gets on with it. Because
the McDonald's is a good strategy. I'm just thinking, it could be our date. So did you do once a week? You kind of like gave him tuition in a way. You sat with him.
Yes.
On the Friday after school for 1 or 2 hours.
We started off with about an hour, and then we built it up to 2 hours. Then sometimes as well, every other week, he used to do a Monday. So we do once every week, and then every other week we do another session. Yeah. And remember, he's with me all the time. So in the mornings when he gets up, we did have a timer. We used to do a few sums as well. We'll talk about them. We'll do corrections. Why did we get this wrong? And so on and so forth. So he was my part-time job that year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be my part-time job this year.
Yes, darling. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. You know. So
that was one of my other questions. Like, how much time should we allocate for this? Obviously, they have after-school clubs during the year, and so that it doesn't get out of hand, so that there is an expectation set, and that we know we can get through this with ease.
Sabine, at least an hour. So you could break that into 30 minutes and another 30 minutes, but you'd actually do some maths and you do some English as well. At least
an hour. What?
An hour a day.
Get that garden stuff sorted. The black bag.
For now, and that would increase as you get into year 5.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's going to be my full-time job.
Oh yes, Sabine would obviously have to reduce the summer holiday to get a lot in. Yeah. We'll use the summer holiday to try all different strategies to see which one works. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know
thank you.
we would obviously have to do quite a few bribing as well, but
I know.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, Sonia, have you got any questions? You seem to be on top of your game, girl.
Well, experience from the older ones, so
I know.
still fresh.
It's still fresh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Thank you so much for the support as well within the group, guys. It's so. I actually sometimes gulp and I think, oh wow, it's buzzing in here, and I get all excited. Sorry, I mean, I mean you're laughing. Yeah, I do like it when there's a lot of buzz that's going on. Yeah. So, Ronke, have you got any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Ronke Ponkus, any questions? Is she still there? Halimat, any more questions?
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah. I'm beginning to enjoy this boot camp.
Yay.
So my fear now is what happened after the 8 weeks. Are you
Okay.
going just because to be honest, for the past few weeks I've been committed.
Oh wow, fantastic! I like that.
The reason you can see that
Send me some feedback. Type something on the Facebook group or on the
you can
WhatsApp.
see that I share some materials. I do have some material, but I don't know how to go about it. I was worried. I don't know what. I buy resources, I buy materials, but I don't know how to go about it. That was the reason why I took the pictures and I sent it out so that people, the group can see.
Fantastic.
Which one would I need to buy? Or, I was just a bit confused. I needed advice. That was the reason why I took the pictures and sent it to the group.
That's fantastic.
And I was so happy that Sabina got back to me and then she was able to make a recommendation where I can get some, which is Amazon. Thank you for that, Sabina. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Even if I didn't reply the message, I was working. I was so busy at work, but so sorry I didn't reply. I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's
So
okay,
yeah,
no problem.
yeah. I just want everyone in the group to kind of work together. We all this together. It's the same goal we're pursuing. But my fear now is what happened, because I'm enjoying it and I'm getting a lot from this group.
Oh, thank you.
My fear now is what happened after these 8 weeks. Are you going to just let us go, or you're going to be in it, or is there any other thing coming up? Because we have to be in this till the end, to be honest. That's how I'll see it.
Okay.
That's how because I can see the difference between myself now and what I used to be.
Wow.
I don't mind buying things. I'll just allow them to have it and I'll just carry on with my work.
What do you think would be useful for us after the
I would suggest if we can carry on with different from one stage to another. Like now we know the resources, we know the area to focus on core skills on numeracy, and step by step gradually. And I'm just suggesting, I don't know if you'll be okay with the ideas. Yeah, if there's more programs from one step to another, that will lead us to, though we can only try our best, at the end of the day, what will be. But I just want Shola to carry us along, until the end. We still have 2 years together, because my one is 3 years and the other one is 4 years. I don't want to stop. I just want to carry on. So whatever it is, whatever plan that everyone has, maybe after this 8 weeks, what will happen next until after 2 years or more. I don't know, because I still got 2 younger ones. So if there's any brilliant ideas, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can share
it could
ideas
be
together.
more like
I don't
an
want
accountability kind of
exactly
maybe more like a light touch, perhaps like once a month or twice a month, like a Q&A session where maybe Shola just presents the latest things or what have you. And yeah,
I mean, what I was actually going to do, thanks Halima, thanks Sabine as well, what the intention was, just before the last or the second to the last session or week, I was going to share the way forward. So I was just going to say, okay, of course I tutor, on a day-to-day basis. I'm a tutor, and I was just going to say, do you know what, these are the options that are available, this is what you could do, and then you can then choose whether it's something that you're happy to go on with, or like Sabine said, I'm more than happy. You know, what I really want, of course, is for us to actually get to the success of this, and then we can say that, oh wow, the kids got through, you know. But I would recommend, you know, what's available, and then you can then decide, yes, I want to go ahead with this, or no, you know, I'm happy, I'm fine. So that's the plan. But if there are any other recommendations, I'm more than happy to have a think about it. So if you can share that as well within the group or on Facebook, and then like I said, I've got a growth mindset now. I'm growing my mindset. I've not got a fixed mindset anymore after reading the book. I haven't finished it. I'm actually just on the second chapter, and I'm having to go back again, you know, to really, really, really dig deep. So yeah, Halimat, thank you so much. It's something, it's in the plan, but like I said, it's not, I don't want to, you know, force people into, it would have to be a choice if you'd like to, you know. I'll come up with some recommendations. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for that. Our minds are actually working together.
Yeah, because I can tell the difference between my, you know, so I don't want to just let it go.
Wow.
So I was just beginning to like, what will happen after 8 weeks? We already have 3 weeks now. So what's going to happen to my kids and I after, you know, so yeah. At least it's good to know that it's planned, you know, on the way. So yeah.
Oh, just some of the night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So, are there any more questions or any more comments or any more suggestions? Actually, Halimat, can you please send me some feedback so I can share that as well?
Yeah.
Please, I would be more than happy if you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Ronketu wants to put some feedback across, or if you know, please, I know Sabine's written and Sonia's written, but please feel free, you know, if there's anything else that you want to write. Yeah.
So we did numeracy, is it? Yeah. So what's going to happen to literacy?
Yeah, we're going to do that next week.
Okay.
Well, we're going to look at the 3 core skill areas, which is comprehension, which is writing, and then which is extending vocabulary as well. So we're going to do that next week. Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to be looking at. So that's why it's core skill 1, and then that's core skills 2. Yeah.
You're not only equipping us on how to go about the kids, but also, like, I'm not from this country. I've learned some things, but I don't know which one is arithmetic skill, which one we all call all is maths. You understand? So last week, my daughter was talking about arithmetic skill. I was thinking, what's she talking about? Which one is what? As I was a bit confused I don't know what to say. I just like, okay. I was just listening, nodding my head, but I don't know which one. How to play. I know there's something she's talking about. She said, we should focus on the arithmetic skill. I'm like, okay. Which one is that? All is maths. All is maths. That's all.
Sure what they are now?
I am very sure. Very, very sure. And I'm ready to go and face her tomorrow and say, okay, come here. You know? Yeah. Thank you so much. I really picked that up today, to be honest, because I didn't take time to browse to know which one is, how it's classified. But yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Fine. That's fine.
So if she's talking about arithmetic skill, I already know what it means. Yeah.
It's the 4 mathematical operations.
Yes. Subtraction, multiplication, division, and
addition.
And addition. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
you very much. Yeah.
Any more questions, guys? Oh wow, tonight's the longest I'm actually enjoying.
Yes.
Oh boy. All right then. Please use the forum, use the Facebook group, use the WhatsApp group seems to be the popular one. So please use it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Sabina. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.